Hello everyone, good afternoon. I am Justin May Bingcola, the first discussant of this group. Today we will tackle about critical literacy. According to Luke et al. 2009, the concept of critical literacy is theoretically diverse and combines ideas from various critical theories, such as critical linguistics, feminist theory, and critical race theory, as well as reader response theory and cultural media studies. To learn more about what is critical theory, let's dive into the history of critical literacy. The term critical literacy was developed by critical theorists concerned with dismantling social injustice and inequalities. Earliest scholarship on critical literacy is grounded on Freirian pedagogy. Pedagogy of the Oppressed, Paulo Freire provides an example on how critical literacy is developed in educational context. 1987, Freire and Macedo published their expansive volume on literacy and critical pedagogy. In it, they argued that those who are critically literate can understand not only how meaning is socially constructed within text, but also the political and economic context in which those texts are created and embedded. Those who are critically literate daw, dili lang kabaw ka sa usa nga word but kaybaw sad ka asa na siya gikan na word. On 1993, Lancashire and Maclaren issued what was to become the seminal text devoted to the topic. They argued that such a traditional definition of literacy is ideologically aligned with particular posture of normative socio-political consciousness that are inherently exploitative. There are three forms of educational practices: liberal education, pluralism, and transformative praxis. Liberal education, an approach to disciplinary knowledge where intellectual freedom exists and where disparate interpretations are considered, but inevitably contradicts wins out. It is designed to provide students with comprehensive understanding of the world around them and the ability to make informed decisions. Liberal education promotes an understanding of ethical issues and civic responsibility. It encourages students to reflect on their values and to consider the impact of their actions on the society. Second is pluralism. There is an emphasis on reading to evaluate principles that support a loose conception with nation of diversity that is grounded on benevolence toward those who are not mainstream. In the context of society, pluralism refers to a state of diversity and mutual respect between different group cultures or individuals coexisting in a community or nation. In a political aspect, pluralism is theory that believes power is distributed among many groups and organizations rather being centralized in a single authority. It encourages democratic participation and the right of free speech leading to a balanced power. The last one is transformative praxis, defined through the Freirian 1970 process of naming the condition of oppression and struggling collectively with others in a cycle of action, reflection, action against such oppression. Critical literacy practices, which Lancashire and Maclaren also called political and social literacies, involves textual studies that are analyzed at the discursive level which the texts were created in which they are sustained. Before 2001, reauthorization of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, ISEA, is the controversial No Child Left Behind Act, NCLB. Janks 2000 posited from possible orientations of future approaches to critical literacy education based on different perspectives on the relationship between language and power. First, to understand how language maintains social political forms of domination. Second, to provide access to dominant forms of language without compromising the integrity of non-dominant forms. Third, to promote a diversity which requires attention to the way that uses of language create social identities. And last, to bring a design perspective that emphasizes the need to use and select from a wide range of available cultural sign systems. To continue our discussion, let's welcome our second discussant, Jonalyn Hilati.
Good day, everyone. I am your second discussant for today, and we are going to talk about critical literacy and the arts. So this sentence means that when a person creates art, they use their creativity and imagination. At the same time, when others view or critique art, they use their critical thinking and judgment to interpret and decide if they accept or reject the work. So, both activities, creating and evaluating art, show how people use their understanding and reasoning skills within the world of art. So, Luke 2000 argues that it is the primary aim of critical literacy to first, so this sentence means helping students understand the text, like books, movies, or articles are not just stories or information. They shape how people think about the world, their culture, and even who they are. So for example, a story might show a certain group as heroes, which influences how we see them in real life. Like, texts often have hidden ideas or beliefs or mga ideologies about what is right, wrong, or normal. So, the number 2 is, so this sentence means people use texts like stories, books, or movies to share ideas about the world and how it works. So these texts can also help people imagine new ways to see or change the world. For example, a story about equality might encourage readers to think about a fair society. So, for example, another example is a poem about nature could inspire people to care for the environment. So next is, so this means art, reading, and real life are all connected. So when we study art like paintings, poems, or stories, we learn to see how, first, the artist's ideas and feelings shape the art. Number 2 is the world around the artists, their culture or time in history influences the art. So to fully understand art, we need to think critically, asking questions like, first, why did the artist create this? Second, what is happening in their life or world that inspired it? Diba? So, indeed, critical literacy makes possible a more adequate reading of the world, on the basis of which people can enter into rewriting the world into a formation in which their interests, identities, and legitimate aspirations are more fully present and present more equally. That is according to Langshare and McLaren 1993, cited in Morgan 2002, page 6. I hope you learned something today. Thank you, everyone.
Hi, I'm Angelo Lanibga, the third discussant for today's video. Are you still there? Okay, that's great. Now we will talk about the four-tiered approach to early instructions. This is a recent version of the model offered the following descriptions. Let's get started with the first step. Imagine you are teaching a child to read. You won't just hand them a book and say, go, right? You need to break down the process into steps, helping them to understand the building blocks of reading. That's what's the free body and the look for child approach to early reading instructions it's all about. It is like a staircase taking readers from basic skills it's a more advanced understanding. So we have a step one. First is a coding practices. It's developing their sources as a code breaker or a cracking the code, which is the learning of the mechanics of the reading, how the letters and sounds work together. Example, sounding out of words, identifying the letters, patterns, understanding how words are put together. It is a learning alphabet and the rules of grammars. That's an example. So next is step 2, text. Meaning practices or developing the sources as a text participant. It is making a meaning on how it's understanding the meaning of the text, like connecting it to prior knowledge and experiences. Examples, identifying the main idea, understanding the author purpose, making inferences. The thing that is reading a story and understanding what's happening, who the character are, and what the message it is. And that's what's how we create to understand the meaning of the text. Next, step 3 is a pragmatic practices. It is a developer resources as a text user. It is using the text. This is a thinking about the purpose of the text, how it is used in a real world. For example, understanding and how to use the recipe, a map, or a news article. It is knowing how to use a tool or a piece of an equipment. Next step is the critical practices, developing resources as a text analyst and critic. It is how we analyzing the text. Thinking critically about a text is a message and its impact. For example, identifying the bias, understanding the author's perspective, or evaluating the text's credibility. It's being a detective looking for clues or hidden meanings. Each step builds on the previous ones. It is like learning to play an instrument. You start with the scales and chords, and then you have move on to more complex pieces. This approach helps students become not just readers, but critically thinkers and active participants in the world of language.
Okay, thank you, Sir Angelo. So I hope you learned something on what Sir Angelo discussed. Have you learned something? Very good! So clap your hands. So let's move on to my topic. For before that, let's define first what is critical literacy. So critical literacy is the ability to analyze and understand the underlying message and text, power dynamics within text, image, and other form of communication. It's involved questioning assumption, recognizing biases, and considering different perspectives. So that's the definition of critical literacy. So let's move on to my topic, which is textual analysis. So what is textual analysis? So textual analysis is a research method that involves studying text to understand the meaning, symbolism, and values. So that's the definition of the textual analysis. So there's are some list of questions. So what is the subject or the topics of these texts? What might the author have written it? Who is writing for? How do you know? What values that the author assumed the reader holds? How do you know? What knowledge does the reader need to bring to the text in order to understand it? Would you feel left out in this text, and why? Why would feel that claims made in the text clash with their own values, beliefs, and experiences? How the reader position in the relation to the author? So those are the list of questions if you are into textual analysis. So there are some other approaches needed to understand or to analyze the text. So if you are into that, there are some approaches. So we are using the checklist such as CARS. So what is CARS? So CARS stands for credibility, accuracy, reasonableness, and so forth. Was originally developed for use to evaluating websites. So that's the definition of CARS. So let's have the credibility. So what is credibility, guys? Okay, so credibility is helps the reader judge the credibility of the text, includes examining the author credentials and quality of the contents. So that's the definition of credibility.
Hello everyone. So today I'll be discussing the four important concepts. So these are the accuracy, reasonableness, support, and text clustering. So these ideas are essential when evaluating and analyzing information. So now let's break each one down. So first is accuracy. When we talk about accuracy, we are focusing on how correct and reliable the information is. So information needs to be first is up to date. So old data might not reflect the current reality. So it's important to ensure that the information is current and relevant. Second is factual. So it should be based on verified facts, not just opinions or assumptions. And the third one is detailed and exact. So this means the information should leave no room for misunderstanding. So for example, instead of saying a lot of people, it's more accurate to say 5,000 people attended the event. And lastly is comprehensive. So it should cover the topic thoroughly without missing critical points. So accuracy means kung saang sakto o kung saang gina-expect na sakto nga information. So dapat kani kay tinuod ug dili lamang haka-haka. Ug dapat pod kay malinaw and detalyado para po ang mga tao nga nagbasa sa information kay dili maglibog. Gets? So next is reasonableness. So it's about assessing whether the information is fair and balanced. So it's like asking, does this make sense? So to evaluate reasonableness, we need to consider fairness. So fairness is the information biased or neutral. For example, a fair article about climate change will present both challenges and possible solutions. So that is fairness. So objectivity. The information shouldn't be influenced by personal feelings or agendas. So for instance, research funded by a company promoting a product might not always be objective. And last is moderateness. So it shouldn't be extreme or exaggerated. So overstated claims like this product will change your life forever. So may lack reasonableness. So ang reasonableness di ay tungkol sa pagiging makatarungan at balance na information. So dapat atong i-ask kung makatarungan ba ang information? Objektibo ba ang information? Or na-i-influensyahan lang ng personal na interest? So dapat if natay madunggan nga istorya, dapat atong suriin, atong pangta ng dili ba ni sobra, dili ba ni exaggerate kayo. So for example, na ay nagbaligya o produkto, unya ingon kag ito ang pinakamagaling sa lahat. So dapat suriin kung ito ay totoo ang claim niya. And next is support. So support is about having evidence to back up the claims being made. So information becomes more credible when other sources agree. So if multiple reliable sources confirm the same ideas, so it's more likely to be true. And it should be the evidence is clear. So the data, statistics, and real life examples strengthen arguments. So it's like having a research good if kanang, di ba, if mag-research ta, mo na tong teacher nga, dapat na yung mga supporting evidence to know or to prove nga reliable siya. Kung na siya'y sources nga makapakita nga reliable siya ug sakto na siya, di ba? And the fourth one is text clustering. So it is a technique where students are presented with different texts that contradict each other. So why? So to teach critical thinking. So here's how it works. So student might read one text saying technology improves learning outcomes. Another arguing technology distracts students from learning. So their task is to analyze both perspectives, compare arguments, and identify strength or weaknesses in each text. So for example, the debate activity. So makita nato diri ang mga arguments. So for example, ang teacher gahatag og topic which is the new media and the traditional media. So ang mga student ilang i-support ang ilang argument, ilang ikuan if asa ang mas effective, ang traditional media ba or ang new media ba. So that is one of the example of text clustering. So to summarize these four concepts, the accuracy, reasonableness, support, and text clustering. So these are tools we can use better to understand and analyze the information we encounter every day. So by applying them, we ensure that we make informed decisions based on reliable, fair, and well-supported information. So that's the end of my topic, guys. I hope you learned something from me. Thank you.
You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step.